Sometimes, life offers moments of perfect, brutal symmetry. A year and a half ago, the world I had painstakingly built began to crumble. My mother was dying, slowly, agonizingly, and in my darkest hour, the people closest to me betrayed everything I believed in. Now, the roles have reversed, and I find myself watching the consequences unfold, not with anger, but with a profound, almost clinical detachment. People call me cruel, but they don't understand. They don't understand what it took to get here, and why some lessons, once learned, cannot be unlearned. My name is Nathan. I'm 28, a project manager for a commercial construction firm. The work isn't glamorous: early mornings, battling permits, ever-shifting budgets, and clients convince their engineers, but it's real. It's tangible. I learned this business from the ground up, starting at $12 an hour fetching coffee, moving through every position until I understood exactly how a multi-million-dollar development gets built. By 27, I was managing them. Last year, I cleared 6 figures. It felt surreal, a lifetime away from the 2-bedroom apartment where every penny counted. My mother, Linda, built my foundation. She raised me alone after my father vanished when I was 6. She worked 2 jobs, a morning shift at a dental office, evenings at a call center. We didn't have much, but what we had was solid. She taught me loyalty was not a word, but an act. That your word was everything. That family meant sticking together, no matter what. I'd watch her come home at 11 at night, exhausted, yet still help me with homework. She never complained, never made me feel like a burden. When other kids had 2 parents at school events, she was there, twice as loud, twice as supportive. She sacrificed everything, turning down dates to protect me, working holidays for presents under our tiny tree, forgoing new clothes so I had school supplies. Everything she did for me. When I was 15, Mom married Greg, a solid man who worked in logistics. He wasn't trying to replace my father, but he was a steady, reliable presence, the antithesis of the abandonment I'd experienced. Greg had a son, Jared, who was 13 then. Jared was a whirlwind of hyperactive energy, always talking, always trying to impress, rarely thinking before acting. Mom glowed at their small wedding, truly happy in a way I hadn't seen before. Jared and I shared a cramped room for 3 years. We played video games, navigated high school, normal stepbrother stuff. We weren't exceptionally close, but we weren't enemies. Just 2 guys sharing a family. He made friends effortlessly, seemed to float through life. I, meanwhile, was working part-time and studying for my GED after dropping out of junior year to work more. Different paths, different priorities. I didn't judge his ease, he didn't judge my seriousness. It worked. Even after I moved out at 18, we stayed in touch, family dinners, occasional texts about games. I thought we were solid, that despite not being blood, we had each other's backs. I was wrong. Fast forward to last year. I'd been with Riley for 2 years, met her through work. She was an office manager for a contractor partner, smart, organized, driven. We clicked immediately. Our first coffee date stretched into dinner, then drinks, then walking until 2 in the morning, just talking. She had a way of making me feel seen, of making my stories matter. She was a planner, a woman with a 5-year career roadmap, never playing games. I respected that. She respected my 60-hour work weeks. We talked about engagement, a bigger place. Riley came from a comfortable background, a safety net I'd never had. I felt insecure about it sometimes, my working-class hands against her degree, but she never made me feel less than. She said she admired my self-made journey. Looking back, I wonder if it was genuine, or just what I wanted to hear. We moved fast. Within 6 months, we were practically living together, within a year, splitting rent on my townhouse. It felt right, like we were building something real, marriage, kids, the whole package. Her parents, despite the lack of a degree, approved of my property ownership and career trajectory. We had our issues, her spontaneity versus my structure, her social life versus my quiet nights, her free spending versus my meticulous budgeting, but we compromised, communicated. Then came the freight train. Mom was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. 3 months to live, maybe 6. The doctor's words, the sterile room, Mom's practical acceptance, Greg's strained grip on her hand, me leaning against the wall, nowhere to sit. "How long?" she asked. 3 to 6 months. She nodded, as if hearing a weather forecast. She didn't cry until we reached the parking lot. I took family leave. Every day was spent at the hospital or her home, managing medications, just being there. Watching the strongest person I knew waste away was brutal. But I wouldn't abandon her. The first week was the hardest, seeing her struggle with basic tasks, the woman who'd raised me alone now unable to shower without help. Riley was supportive at first. She brought food, sent encouraging texts, understood canceled plans. She'd sit with Mom while I stepped out, checking in for hours. She did all the things a loving girlfriend should. But after a few weeks, a subtle weariness began to show. Comments about my constant hospital presence, texts growing shorter, calls less frequent. When we did see each other, she was distant. I tried to explain, "My mom is dying." Riley would nod, say she understood, but her eyes said otherwise. Sighs when I canceled dinner, eye rolls at another doctor's appointment. "Your mom has a husband now," she'd said one night, after I canceled our anniversary dinner. "You don't have to do everything yourself." That comment hit me like a physical blow. As if my presence at my own mother's deathbed was optional, secondary to a date night. But I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Caregiving is hard on everyone. I thought she'd stick it out because that's what love meant. About 6 weeks into Mom's diagnosis, Jared started coming to the hospital more often. He said he wanted to support Greg, to be there for the family. At the time, I appreciated it, thinking he was finally growing up. He'd bring food, chat with nurses, keep Greg company. I thanked him, told him it meant a lot. What I didn't know was how much he and Riley had been talking. It started innocently, he'd ask about me, she'd update him. Makes sense. Then they met for coffee to discuss how to support me. Then those coffees turned into lunch, then dinner. Looking back, the signs were obvious. But my brain couldn't process that level of betrayal. I was watching my mother fade, the last thing on my mind was my girlfriend and stepbrother growing too friendly. The week before it happened, Mom declined sharply. She stopped eating, barely stayed awake. Nurses increased her pain medication. I slept at the hospital 4 nights, hunched in those terrible reclining chairs, waking every hour. My back screamed. I looked like a wreck, but I couldn't leave her. The night it happened, Mom took a bad turn. Breathing problems, severe pain. Doctors weren't sure she'd make it. I sat, holding her hand, watching monitors, listening to her labored breaths. Greg sat opposite me, looking 10 years older. We didn't speak. Around 11 p.m., I texted Riley not to wait up. Her immediate reply, "Okay, hope she's all right. Love you." Should have been my first clue. Riley was never that fast. But I was consumed by Mom. Around 3 a.m., Mom stabilized. Her breathing evened out, oxygen levels rose. The nurses urged me to go home. Patricia, the night nurse who knew me by name, gently insisted. "Go home, Nathan. Take a shower. Sleep in a real bed. We've got her." My body screamed for it. I was running on 4 hours of sleep total from 3 days. I smelled of hospital and stress. I kissed Mom's forehead and left. The drive home is a blur of exhaustion. Random Tuesday, 3:45 a.m., empty streets. I just wanted a few hours of sleep. I walked into my townhouse at 4:15 a.m. and knew instantly something was wrong. An unfamiliar car was parked outside. The living room light was on. Then, sounds from upstairs, my bedroom. My fried brain took a second to process. Then, Riley's voice. Then, Jared's. I stood at the bottom of the stairs, a silent scream in my mind. Part of me clawed for an innocent explanation. But I wasn't stupid. I knew. The walk up the stairs felt like an hour. Each step, my brain urged me to turn back, but my feet kept moving. At the top, my bedroom door was ajar. I could hear them more clearly now. I opened it. The scene is seared into my memory, Riley on top of Jared in my bed. The bed I bought. The sheets I'd washed before rushing to the hospital. The room where I'd fallen asleep next to her hundreds of times. They scrambled to cover themselves. Riley's face, pure panic. Jared's, pleasure to horror. No one spoke for what felt like an hour, but was maybe 10 seconds. Time warped. I saw every detail, Riley's clothes on the floor, Jared's shoes, the expensive wine on my nightstand I'd been saving. Finally, Riley. Shaky, breathless. Nathan, I can explain. Get out. Please, just let me get out now. She started pulling on clothes, sobbing apologies. I'm so sorry. We didn't mean for this to happen. I don't care. Get your stuff and leave. Jared sat, she pulled to his chin, a deer in headlights. He looked 13 again, caught doing something deeply wrong. You, too, I said to him. Get your stuff and get out of my house before I make you leave. Bro, I'm so sorry. It just happened. Don't call me bro, don't ever call me that again. You're not my brother. Get out before I physically throw you out. He saw something in my face. He didn't argue. He moved faster than I thought possible. They fled. I heard Riley's car start, then silence. I stood in my bedroom. And felt nothing. No anger, no sadness. Just an eerie emptiness, like my brain had overloaded. My mother was dying 5 miles away, and the 2 people meant to support me had chosen this. The practical part of my brain took over. I stripped the bed, every sheet, comforter, pillow, and stuffed it all into garbage bags. I didn't wash it. I just wanted it gone. I took a shower, the hot water running out, but I didn't care. I stood under the cold, trying to feel something. When I got out, my phone buzzed. 7 missed calls from Riley. 12 texts. 3 voicemails. I deleted them all without listening, blocked her, blocked Jared, blocked them on every social media platform. Then I sat on my couch and stared at the wall until dawn, watching the light shift from dark to great orange. I didn't think. I just existed. I went back to the hospital. Mom was awake, looking a little better. I lied, said I'd gone home to shower. I spent the day with her, holding her hand, listening to her tell stories from my childhood. She died 2 days later, peacefully, surrounded by family. I held it together through the funeral, the reception, all of it. The strong son. Greg pulled me aside after. Jared told me what happened. I'm so sorry, Nathan. I raised him better. It's not your fault. I meant it. Still, if you need anything, I'm good. Thanks. That was our last real conversation. Greg was a good man, but Jared was his son. I wasn't going to make him choose, and he wasn't going to cut off his kid. We just drifted apart. 3 days after the funeral, Riley and Jared showed up at my door. I opened it just enough to see them. Riley's eyes were swollen. Jared looked like he hadn't slept. We need to talk, Riley said. No, we don't. Please, we owe you an explanation. You don't owe me anything. We're done. Leave. Jared stepped forward. Man, I know what we did was wrong. You know what you did was wrong? Wow. Thanks for that incredible insight. Now, leave before I call the cops for trespassing. It just happened. Riley blurted out. We didn't plan it. We weren't trying to hurt you. It just happened. We feel terrible. I laughed. A full, bitter laugh. Just happened. Like you accidentally tripped and fell into each other multiple times. You feel terrible. Got it. Now you can feel terrible somewhere else. I closed the door and locked it. They knocked for 5 more minutes, then left. That should have been the end. But the universe had other plans. 2 weeks after Mom's funeral, mutual friends started talking. Riley and Jared were officially dating. Social media official. Couple photos. At first, I was furious. Not because I wanted Riley back, but because of their speed. My mom was 2 weeks dead, and they were posting cute selfies. Then I realized something. They actually thought they were in love. That this wasn't just a hookup, but some grand romance. That hurting me was worth it because they'd found their soulmate. That's when I cut them off completely. Not just blocking their numbers, but a total social media purge. Unfriended, blocked, removed. I told our mutual friends I didn't want to hear about them. Some understood. Some thought I was petty. The petty ones aren't my friends anymore. I threw myself into work, taking extra projects. Volunteering for the undesirable jobs. 6 months later, I was senior project manager with a substantial raise. I used the money to renovate my townhouse, new furniture, fresh paint, erasing any trace of Riley. I started going to the gym, not for revenge, but to channel the energy I once spent on relationships. I got into running, 10Ks, then half marathons. The physical exhaustion helped the mental. I reconnected with old friends, built a solid social circle. My life got better. Not perfect, but better. I was moving forward, not dwelling. Meanwhile, according to the grapevine I couldn't fully avoid, Riley and Jared's relationship was intense, full of drama. They moved in together after 3 months. Not my circus. The first crack appeared around 8 months. A mutual friend, Dave, mentioned a huge fight at a party. Jared talking to another girl, Riley losing it. They worked it out, he said, but the vibe was off. I changed the subject. Weeks later, another friend saw them arguing at a restaurant. Then Riley posted something cryptic about trust issues. I didn't care. They'd made their choice. If their relationship was falling apart, that was on them. Then, almost exactly 1 year after that night in my bed, my phone rang. Unknown number. I usually didn't answer, but I was expecting a contractor's call. Hello? Heavy breathing. Nathan, it's Jared. I almost hung up, but curiosity held me. What do you want? I need help. I know I don't deserve it, but I need, his voice cracked. He was crying. I need a place to stay. Just for a few days, please. What happened? Riley. More crying. She cheated on me with my cousin last night. I found out this morning. I don't have anywhere to go. I sat there, processing. Then I started laughing. Not a chuckle, a full-on belly laugh. Dude, what the hell? Let me guess, I said, still laughing. It just happened, right? She didn't plan it. She feels terrible. Silence. That's what she said, isn't it? The exact same thing you both told me. Please, I know I screwed up. Sounds like it just happened. Hope you guys work through it. I hung up. He called back. I blocked the number. Over the next few days, I got texts from 3 different numbers, all from Jared, begging for help. I blocked every single one. Then Greg called. That one I answered, out of respect. Nathan, I know you don't owe Jared anything. You're right. I don't. He's in a bad place. He made a mistake. He made a choice. A deliberate, conscious choice to sleep with my girlfriend while my mom was dying. Now he's dealing with the consequences of his choices. Not my problem. He's family. No, he's not. We were stepbrothers. Past tense. He stopped being family the night he betrayed me. Greg sighed. I understand you're angry. I'm not angry. I'm indifferent. Anger would mean I care. I don't. Tell Jared to figure it out himself. I hung up and blocked Greg's number too. I felt bad about that, but I couldn't have him calling to advocate for Jared every time. The mutual friend updates started coming faster. Jared was couch surfing, couldn't afford rent alone. Riley posted cryptic messages about betrayal and who truly loved you. The irony was suffocating. Dave came by my place, working on a project. So, I heard about Jared and Riley. Okay. You really not going to help him out, even after everything? Especially after everything. Come on, man. He's struggling. I saw him last night, he looks rough. Lost weight, not sleeping. Dave looked at me like I'd grown a second head. And you don't feel even a little bad? I mean, yeah, he messed up. But karma already got him. Riley cheating was basically cosmic justice. Cosmic justice would be me caring about his problems after he deliberately hurt me when I was at my lowest point. But I don't. So, I guess the universe needs to try harder. That's cold. That's reality. You mess with people's lives. Sometimes those people stop caring when your life falls apart. Dave left shortly after, thinking I was unnecessarily harsh. But I'd spent a year rebuilding my life, processing Mom's death without the support I deserved, learning to trust again. I wasn't throwing that away because Jared finally experienced a fraction of what he'd put me through. 2 weeks after Jared's initial call, I ran into Riley at the grocery store, literally almost colliding in the cereal aisle. She looked terrible. Dark circles, messy bun, sweatpants. Nothing like the put-together office manager I knew. Nathan, she said, stopping her cart. Hey, Riley. I moved to step around her. Wait, can we talk? Just for a minute? No, please, I need to explain. You explained a year ago. It just happened. You felt terrible. Remember? Her eyes filled. I know I hurt you. I know what we did was unforgivable, but I'm going through something really difficult right now, and I could use a friend. Then call a friend. I'm not your friend. I'm not anything to you. I made a mistake. You made multiple mistakes, repeatedly, over an extended period. Those are called choices, not mistakes. I'm sorry. I'm sure you are. Sorry it didn't work out with Jared. Sorry you're dealing with consequences. Sorry you can't use me as your emotional support anymore. But none of that changes anything. I walked away. She called after me, but I didn't stop. That night, I got a long text from an unknown number, clearly Riley. She detailed Jared's distance, how his cousin had been so understanding, how one thing led to another. It just happened. She claimed she'd realized what we had was real, and what she had with Jared was just confusion and guilt. She'd grown, learned from her mistakes, wanted to make things right. I deleted it without finishing, blocked the number. The messages kept coming, from different numbers, social media accounts, even my work email. All variations of her wanting to talk, to make amends. I set up email filters and kept blocking. Never responded. Jared tried anger. Messages about me holding a grudge, being vindictive, how family forgives family. His audacity was breathtaking. I actually responded to one, "You're right. Family forgives family. Which is why it's good we're not family." Blocked. The mutual friends started taking sides. Half thought I was justified. The other half called me cruel, constantly bringing up Jared and Riley's struggles. Jared's living in his car, one told me at a barbecue. That's rough, I deadpanned. You really don't care? Why would I? He didn't care about me when I was watching my mom die and he was sleeping with my girlfriend. That was different. How? They couldn't answer. Riley, according to the grapevine, moved back in with her parents after losing her job. She was working retail, hating it. Part of me wondered if I should feel bad. If I was too harsh. But I wasn't angry. I genuinely didn't care. Their lives falling apart didn't make me happy or sad. It just was. They'd made choices that hurt me when I was vulnerable. Now they faced consequences, expecting me to help them avoid them. That's not how life works. I'm not their safety net. I'm not their second chance. I'm not their redemption arc. I'm just a guy who learned some people will betray you at your lowest, and the best revenge is building a life they can't touch. 3 months after Jared's call, I was at a work event, an industry mixer. I'd grown good at networking, at existing in professional spaces without Riley as my social crutch. I was talking to a potential client when I saw her across the room. Riley, in a catering uniform, holding a tray of appetizers. Our eyes met. She looked like she wanted to disappear. I nodded slightly and went back to my conversation. She approached 20 minutes later. Stuffed mushroom? No thanks. She lingered, wanting to speak. I turned, physically cutting her out of the conversation. She moved on. After the event, she was waiting by my car. Please don't call security, she said as I approached. I just want to say one thing. I unlocked my car but didn't get in. You've got 30 seconds. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know what I did was terrible. I'm not asking you to forget or to be friends or anything like that. I just want you to know that I understand now what I threw away, what we had. And I'm sorry. Truly sorry. Not because my life fell apart, but because I hurt you when you needed me most. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She seemed sincere. Broken. Exhausted, but sincere. Okay, I said. She blinked. Okay? Yeah. Okay. I heard you. You're sorry. I accept that you're sorry. Her face lit with hope. Does that mean it means nothing? You're sorry. Great. That doesn't change anything that happened. Doesn't make us friends. Doesn't mean I'm going to help you or Jared or involve myself in your lives in any way. It just means I acknowledge that you said you're sorry. The hope died in her eyes. So that's it? We just nothing? We were always nothing. You ended that a year ago. I'm just accepting reality. I loved you. No, you didn't. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done what you did. What you felt was comfort, security, the benefits of dating someone stable. That's not the same as love. She started crying. I was young and stupid and confused. You were 26. That's old enough to know better. You made a choice. Now live with it. I got in my car and drove away, watching her in my rearview mirror, standing in the parking lot, crying into her hands. I felt nothing. That was 6 months ago. I haven't heard from either of them since. Last I heard, Jared moved to a different state to start fresh. Riley's still working retail and living with her parents. My life is good. Better than good, actually. I got another promotion. I'm dating Lauren, a civil engineer. She's smart, independent, and trustworthy. We're taking it slow, building something real instead of rushing into intensity. I bought a new place, a bigger townhouse in a better neighborhood. I got a rescue mutt named Cooper, who's the best judge of character I've ever met. He growls at untrustworthy people. Would have been useful a few years ago. My friend circle is solid. People who showed up when my mom died and stuck around. People who didn't make excuses for betrayal or try to convince me to forgive the unforgivable. Sometimes I think about what my life would look like if I'd helped Jared, taken Riley's calls, been the bigger person. And then I remember that being the bigger person doesn't mean being a doormat. Forgiveness doesn't erase consequences. Some bridges need to stay burned. Could I have helped Jared? Sure. I had a spare room. But it would have sent a message that betraying me has no real consequences. That you can hurt me at my most vulnerable, and I'll still be there. That's not the message I want to send. Not to Jared, not to Riley, not to anyone. You treat people like they're disposable. Eventually, you become disposable to them. That's not cruelty. That's just cause and effect. Some of the mutual friends who sided with Jared and Riley have reached out recently, seeing how well I'm doing versus their struggles. Dave called last month to apologize, said he didn't understand then, but he gets it now. His girlfriend cheated on him. He tried to forgive her. It hadn't worked. He understood why I'd cut them off. I appreciated the apology, but I'd already moved on from Dave, too. We're friendly at work events, but not friends. Too much water under that bridge. I don't need people to understand my choices. I don't need validation for protecting my peace. I know what they did. I know how it affected me. That's enough. At what point does holding steadfast to the principle of consequences transition from justified self-preservation to a different form of rigidity?